Hello you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to today's cozy fall baking marathon. I don't know about you guys, but as soon as the fall season rolls around, I am just ready to start baking. This might be a controversial opinion, but I think that fall baked goods are the best baked goods of the entire year. For me, they really do rival Christmas. There's just something about the richness of apple and pumpkin and cinnamon and brown sugar that is just unparalleled in my opinion. And as soon as the leaves start changing, I start getting the itch to bake all things autumnal. So in this video, I'm going to try and get as many fall recipes baked as I can in one shot for you guys. I've picked out a few that I think you guys are really going to love, and I'm very excited to try as well. We are hosting Thanksgiving at our place this year, and so this is going to be kind of like my trial run to see what the perfect autumn dessert is to share. So if you guys want to join me for a cozy afternoon of fall baking, grab your cup of coffee and let's get started. First up on my list for today is actually not necessarily a baked good, but it is like the quintessential fall treat, and I'm actually going to incorporate it into a baked good that I'm planning on making today, and that is apple butter. Our family just went apple picking last week, so I have a bunch of fresh from the orchard apples to use for this today, and I'm actually going to do a recipe that's a little bit faster. I don't actually need a huge batch of apple butter. I just want a little bit to have for our kids to kind of spread over things for breakfast in the fall, and I also love it for sandwiches. Putting it on like a turkey sandwich or something like that is so good too. But I'm actually going to be making an apple butter coffee cake today as part of this baking marathon, so I thought it would be fun to also just have fresh apple butter from the orchard to incorporate for that. So I'm going to do a stovetop recipe that takes about 2 hours, and it doesn't require the apples to be peeled, which also speeds up the prep time a little bit. So all you have to do is rough chop the apples, make sure there is no core, mix them up with some delicious fall spices like nutmeg and cinnamon, and then we're going to let this simmer on the stove for the next couple of hours while I work ahead on baking some of my other recipes, and I'm sure it's going to smell amazing in here in the next couple minutes. Our next step is to coat all of these apples with the spice mixture in a bowl to make sure they're all covered before putting them into the Dutch oven. So for that, we need lemon juice, maple syrup, ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, ground cloves, and salt. Now I'm gonna add a half a cup of water to this pot of apples and bring it up to medium-high heat. And now that the liquid in here is up to a boil, I'm gonna reduce it down to medium-low heat and put the lid on the Dutch oven. And I'm gonna stir this occasionally, but otherwise I'm gonna let it sit for 2 hours so those really soften in here. While we are waiting for them to soften, we're gonna get started on the next recipe that is going to take the longest, and that is cinnamon buns. There is just no time that I would rather have an ooey gooey warm cinnamon bun than in the fall. To me, there is just no beating a good old classic cinnamon bun recipe. So the one that I'm going to be using is kind of like a copycat of the Cinnabon recipe. If you guys have ever gone to a mall and had one of those cinnamon buns, they're just so good. So we are going to get started on that one now. So for the buns, we need some warm milk and some yeast, and the temperature that I'm looking for on the milk right now is 105 Fahrenheit. So I combined the warm milk with the active dry yeast and some sugar, and it's nice and foamy. So now I'm gonna add in a half a cup of sugar, 6 tablespoons of melted butter, 2 eggs at room temp, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now we're going to add 4 cups of flour, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of salt. Starting to smell so cozy in here, and obviously a big part of that is coming from the apple butter on the stove, but I also do have my favorite candle right now going, and this is from the brand Italic. They are one of my favorite sponsors, and I'm so excited to be working with them on today's video because I think that they truly are like a secret weapon for you as a homemaker. Italic is one of my favorite stores right now, and honestly one of my go-tos for so many things around the house, because they believe that luxury should be defined by the quality of the product and not by the logo or the price tag. So they actually source a lot of their products from the same manufacturers that are behind some of the big, well-known brand names that you guys know and love in the home decor space, in the clothing space. But Italic is on a mission to make these higher quality products more accessible to a wider range of people so that you still have access to that luxury, but with unmatched prices behind it as well. So as I mentioned, I did pick up a couple of candles for them recently. I love to have a new, just really good scented candle for the fall, and these are their Soleil Swiss scented glass candles. I got the scent Oud Rosewood, which has oud, rosewood, tobacco, cardamom, vetiver, leather, tonka bean, sandalwood, and cedarwood. So it's just a very nice, like clean but warm smell. What I think is so cool about this candle in particular is that the fragrance was actually developed by one of the oldest and most respected fragrance houses in Switzerland. And I'm telling you guys, when my husband and I opened this, we were like, that might be one of the best smells I've ever smelled in my life. The candles are crafted from pure vegan soy wax and are infused with essential oils, and then they are poured into recycled glass jars and have a burn time of 40 hours. So we have been enjoying that scent for a few weeks now. The price on these cannot be beat. The smell is amazing. The packaging is amazing. And since we are officially in cozy season now, the other thing that my husband and I picked out from the website was their Rummy Cashmere Throw. And you guys, this throw blanket is the definition of luxury. It is made of 100% Mongolian cashmere, and it is just the softest throw blanket. We've absolutely been loving having it on our couch, and I feel like my husband and I are always fighting over who gets to use it for movie nights. We got it in the shade Camel, and for reference, you guys, if you were to purchase this same product from a brand name like Burberry, you would be paying over $1,600. So it is safe to say that we are loving Italic around here. We are always checking the website to see what's new in stock, and I'm recommending it to all my friends. If you guys are interested in checking out any of Italic's products like the candles or the cashmere throw, or you just want to see what else they have on their website, there is a link in the description box of this video that you can head to, and if you use the code ElizabethMoore15 at checkout, you can actually save 15% off of your first purchase through Italic as well. So thank you so much to Italic for working with me on today's video. I have my little sous chef joining me for a while here now, but while I let the dough for the cinnamon buns keep rising, I'm going to get the mixture for the filling ready. And for that, I will need 1 cup of packed brown sugar, 2.5 tablespoons of cinnamon, and 6 tablespoons of softened butter. All right, we got a nice cinnamon, brown sugar, buttery paste ready to go over here. I think I might have just dropped some of it on my baby. And I've seen a nice rise on the dough. This is what it's currently looking like. So I'm gonna get ready to roll it out and put the cinnamon in. So this is what the apple butter is currently looking like. It's been 2 hours now, and I just turned the heat off on it. I'm gonna run an immersion blender through this just to kind of blend down any of the little chunks that are left over, and then I'm gonna let this sit actually for another hour to keep darkening up. My cinnamon buns will be wrapping up in the oven very shortly, so let's get started on the icing. The icing on a cinnamon bun is just as important as the dough, if not more important, and you gotta know we're doing cream cheese icing for these cinnamon buns. Any other kind of icing just simply does not compare, so we've got 8 ounces of cream cheese, 1/4 cup of softened salted butter, 2 cups of powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, and just a little pinch of salt. Is this not the cutest hand mixer you've ever seen? We got it for our wedding, and I've always just thought it was so fun. And you know what? Since it's fall, let's get crazy and let's add a little bit of pumpkin pie spice to make it a pumpkin pie cream cheese frosting. Next up on the list, we are going to be making some delicious, moist, pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. I'm actually going to be using a pumpkin chocolate chip loaf recipe to make these muffins. And that's something that I found is that if you have a loaf recipe that you love, it can pretty easily always translate into muffins as well if you adjust the cook time a little bit. I personally really like muffins because they are already kind of pre-portioned into different sizes, and it's also a lot easier to serve if you've got kids like I do. So let's get started. We need 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of baking soda, and 4 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. For the wet ingredients, we will need 2 cups of pure pumpkin, so not pumpkin pie filling, but pure pumpkin. 2/3 a cup of white granulated sugar, 1 cup of applesauce, which I always have on hand as a mom, 3 eggs at room temperature, a tablespoon of vanilla extract, and then of course a lot of chocolate chips, which I like to measure with my heart. Okay, we have 2 more recipes left in this marathon, and the next one that I'm going to tackle is one that I read about in a book recently and have not been able to stop thinking about. It is apple cider donuts. We are actually going to bake these apple cider donuts. I have done fried donuts in oil over the stovetop in the past, and it's a lot unhealthier, it's a lot messier, so we are going to try the baking approach today. It's something that I've never done, but as I mentioned, we did go apple picking, and I also happened to pick up some apple cider from the farm that is close to us, and I'm going to reduce this down over the stovetop for the next 20 minutes to help flavor the donuts. So we're going to start with 1.5 cups of apple cider, and we are going to cook this over low heat for approximately 20 minutes to reduce it. So for the donuts, we will need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 teaspoon baking powder, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and this recipe also calls for a teaspoon of apple pie spice, but because we don't have that, we're gonna go with pumpkin pie spice. A little bit of salt, For the wet ingredients, we need 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter melted, a half a cup of packed brown sugar, a half a cup of granulated sugar, a half a cup of milk at room temp, and 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Reduced down the apple cider to a little less than half a cup. I'm just gonna let this cool for a couple minutes and then I will add it into the donut mixture. Alright, we have made it to the final recipe of my fall baking marathon. I kind of wish that I had 2 kitchens to make this happen today because it's a little bit crazy in here, but we are going to get started on the apple butter coffee cake now. The words apple butter and coffee cake just sound right combined to me, so we're going to start with 1½ cups of flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon ground cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of salt, Admittedly, I got a little tired on the apple crumb cake. Jumped ahead a little bit, did not read the instructions. I mixed the apple butter in directly with the cake batter instead of like laying the batter down and then doing the apple butter over top and in between. I'm sure it will still taste great. The consistency of the batter still looks awesome. This is what it's looking like right now, so very moist. And this here is the crumb topping. So this is melted butter, some flour, some ground cinnamon, brown sugar, white sugar, and that is going to go all over the cake before I put it into the oven. Well, that is the end of my fall baking marathon. I am literally so sweaty and had so many dishes to clean after all of that, but I hope that you guys enjoyed coming along with me for a cozy day of fall baking. If you have any fall recipes, whether a baked good or like a favorite fall family meal, feel free to share those in the comment section. I would love to get just some more fall inspo now that we are coming into the season in full swing. I would also love to know which recipe that I tried today that you guys are interested in trying, whether it was the coffee cake, the donuts, the muffins, the apple butter, the cinnamon buns. I would love to know which one you guys are interested in trying at home. And I also wanted to remind you guys that if any of you are interested in checking out Italic's products for your homes, that I do have a discount with them. So again, all you have to do is head to the link in my description box and use the code ElizabethMoore15 at checkout to save 15% off on your first purchase. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Happy fall, and until my next video, I love you guys, I'm praying for you guys, and I will see you soon.